Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. Please let me introduce the National Golf Course Owners Association CEO, Jay Karen.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I see we have a small, but I'm sure very enthusiastic crowd this morning. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so first let me introduce the Golf USA Tee Time Coalition for folks in the audience that aren't familiar with this group. It's a 501c6 trade organization founded about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, by the NGCOA and the PGA of America. And we have 3 board members from the NGCOA, 3 from the PGA of America, and we have 1 from the hotel industry to work on these matters. So, with that being said, a Bill of Rights. So who knew that on a Thursday morning you're going to get a civics lesson here, but in actuality the American Bill of Rights, while created in a very different context, is a pretty decent analogy for these new operators' Bill of Rights. The purpose of the first 10 amendments to the US Constitution was to put into writing very specific limitations of the federal government and specific natural rights of citizens, which the Constitution did not spell out. So why a Bill of Rights in golf? In 2015, the NGCOA published a set of what we called guidelines for software companies and tee time providers, which detailed practices that we believed were appropriate for the tee time marketplace. There was in this document a mix of standards, suggestions, best practices. It's been a good reference for discussing what is and what isn't healthy, good, fair, or ethical. We put on paper those things that were important to golf course operators, but we feel that we need to update our approach to these documents and standards. So with regard to behavior, activity, practices, etc., it is the intent of the coalition to have 3 resources. Number 1, these Bill of Rights, which provide clarity around what we believe are natural rights of golf course operators when partnering with companies that have access to your inventory. 2, technical standards and contractual standards for software companies and tee time providers. This will be more detailed instruction, a checklist of the things that they must follow in this ecosystem. And then third is education, the best practices, because there are what we believe are the software and tee time companies doing what we want them to do, and then there's the best practices. What should you be doing with these tools to advantage your facilities? How did you negotiate these terms? How did you get the data that you need to evaluate these relationships? So with regard to the Bill of Rights, why do we need these? We need them simply because the relationship between golf courses and tee time marketing companies, probably more so than the software companies, are complicated. These vendor relationships are not like buying golf cars, they're not like buying turf equipment, not like insurance, because you as golf course operators give these companies access to your inventory. You invite them into your home. It's a very different relationship. And if you have companies staying in your homes, usually they're going to be ground rules. So what we are saying here is, if you're going to work with us, the golf course operators, you need to respect and abide by these natural rights that we, the golf course operators, have. And if you do, we can live happily together. So without further ado, let's look at our Bill of Rights. Number 1. The operator shall have total ownership of his or her tee time inventory, including the ability to share access with or restrict access to any tee time agency. This means, as a course operator, you get to say who gets and doesn't get access to your inventory. If a company you're doing business with is forward distributing your tee times to other companies, other websites, you should have the right to say, I don't want my tee times here, I only want some of my tee times over there, etc. In addition, and this is a tougher one, if you're giving access to your inventory to a software company, which you generally have to do if you're going to sell tee times, and that company does not distribute certain tee time to certain tee time sites, but you want your data shared, we believe there should be a way for you to share such data. You see, many of these software to tee time company relationships involve financial arrangements between the software company and the tee time marketer with your inventory. In other words, those financial arrangements can open or close access to your inventory. And remember, these are your tee times, and you should have the ability to move it around where you want. Right now, that is not easy to do, and in some cases impossible, because some of these software companies don't share your tee times with anyone. But we believe it's a fundamental right in this day and age of open marketplace, and the ability to share data is not like what it used to be. 2, the operator shall have full control of all pricing for all tee time inventory across all channels of distribution and online tee time agencies, which includes retaining the right to the lowest price guarantee on his or her website. Again, this is your inventory, your business, your income, your brand. What your tee times sell for should be at your full discretion, and no one should have the ability to sell your tee times for a lower price than what you want to offer on your website. Now, many people are abdicating this right when they enter into barter agreements that allow your tee time marketer to set prices for your golf, your brand, but that is your choice. I, for one, believe abdicating price to those who do not have your cost of running your business is one of the deepest problems we have in this entire ecosystem. Nevertheless, your right is to control all pricing in all channels. 3, the operator's tee time availability and pricing shall be accurately displayed and free from misrepresentation or inappropriate display bias. What this means: sometimes we find that the tee time companies are misrepresenting a golf course by displaying incorrect information, such as if they even have inventory with them, or using marketing lines such as 80% off Augusta Ranch when in fact there is no such deal. Sometimes the purpose of this is to bait the golfer into their website to redirect them to courses that do have inventory on their site. This is problematic for a number of reasons, and we believe a basic right is to be accurate and truthful about your business. Number 4, the operator shall receive comprehensive and transparent data related to all performance and activity with all distribution partners, agencies, and affiliates, including but not limited to customer name, email address, tee time reservation data, revenue, price paid for tee times, impressions, and clicks. Your inventory, your customer, period. Anyone selling your tee time should freely share the customer data, and you shouldn't have to pay more or barter more for that information. Since money and data are changing hands between you and your partners, you should also have access to relevant data so you can judge the effectiveness, the behavior, and the value of these relationships. 5, the operator shall have the option to pay cash for all technology and marketing services. Bottom line here, there are and will be creative payment options for these services, everything from bartering tee times to paying for these services through your merchant processing fees. Because of this, the value for services can get pretty opaque. Wait, what did I pay for this software? What am I paying for this tee time distribution? Nothing? How will we know that A plus B equals C in these relationships if you don't even know what the price of A is, right? So in all cases, we believe operators should have the option to pay clearly for services, and nothing is as clear as an invoice. Number 6, operator shall retain all rights associated with his or her business brand, name, and likeness, which shall not be used in marketing by any agent or affiliate without the operator's written permission. Now, in order to get clicks and bookings, tee time agencies, this happens in the hotel world every day, tee time agencies in golf, they have to battle it out in the search engines. In doing so, they often use your golf course's brand to attract the golfers to their websites, sometimes with your permission, sometimes without. We think if they do this, if your golf course is mentioned in any of their marketing efforts, it should be with your explicit permission, period. Permission is not implied because you give them tee times. Number 7, the operator shall have the right to cancel any agreement with any tee time agency or affiliate without being subject to excessive fees, penalties, or evergreen terms. If you want to get out, you should not be handcuffed to any unreasonable terms. And if you're not paying attention to your contract, which a lot of operators do, you sign contracts, you go along, you move along in your business, and you forget what the terms are, you should not be held to auto renewals that last an unreasonable amount of time, meaning some contracts say if you don't cancel within this specific window of time, you are automatically renewed for an entire year. We think that kind of language and those terms are not meant to help protect you, the golf course operator. Number 8, the operator shall have the right to enforce their own policies and procedures, including but not limited to cancellation or no-show policies when such policies are in conflict with partnered or affiliated tee time agencies. Aggregators, the Golf Nows, Tee Offs, and so forth, they like to try to standardize policies and practices for obvious reasons. You're dealing with thousands of businesses, you want to standardize as much as you can. But when dealing with thousands of independent businesses, you're simply going to run into situations where they don't align. Do your no-show, cancellation, and rain check policies match that of the company selling your tee times? Do your own policies come through in the booking process? If there is conflict, your policies, as the service provider, should win the day. Considering that your tee times could show up on 30 websites, your policies have to be the winner. So there you have it, folks. The Coalition Board is expected to formally adopt this at this afternoon's board meeting, but please remember that we all want healthy relationships, symbiotic ones. But we also have to remember that we, this coalition, are representing you, the golf operator, in this marketplace. As always, we welcome you to reach out to the Coalition office or any of the board members, and you can find us at teatimecoalition.org.